Three, two, one, we are live. Okay, let's go, boys. Okay, everybody, here we go. Welcome, the man, the legend, Jim Willie. So hopefully, Jim, I'm catching the screen here, but this is a damn thing. So,
Yeah, I don't know what you're doing. That's okay.
I don't either.
If you could stop that, that would be very nice. Here we are, and I have a saying that I've been commenting to people for the last week now. Today is the 28th, so we now have 25 days since the election. About a week ago or so, maybe 10 days ago, I said every single day that passes without a certification of Biden as winner means that we're getting closer and closer to a Trump victory. Because we've never been here before. Every day that passes without certifying Biden as the fraudulent victor means that Trump is going to win. And we've got to lay it out because they're chipping away at the fraudulent facade. And behind the facade is a gigantic fraud that we've never seen before in modern history with this volume. I think the United States is going to become a laughing stock to the world, at least to this planet. I have to be careful now when I talk about world because I'm quite convinced that we're not alone on this planet. There's a lot more going on. We've got some very interesting developments in just the last 2 or 3 days. And I think it's going to build momentum. I think we're going to see some remarkable events at the battleground states. I think we're going to see a couple of landmark federal events. I think we've already begun to see the backpedaling by the mainstream media press. We've seen nothing in backpedaling from the internet giants. Their censorship has gotten even worse. I'm hoping for antitrust breakup. I was a kid. I think I was in college, and right after college when AT&T got broken up. We've got ample precedent for breaking up a monopoly, and now we've got sedition, censorship toward a treasonous election, and a lot of different other filthy events to motivate and push along an antitrust breakup. This could get a whole lot worse than just antitrust breakup. It could become a situation where some of the media players, I don't mean just people, I mean companies, might get taken over. This is a very serious treason event. And I hope people can understand what's going on. And I don't think very many do. I'm a percentage guy. I'm a math type. I think that maybe 10% or 15%, maybe 20% of the country in the United States, the people are aware that we've got an election theft. I don't know. Oh gosh, it's very hard to describe this. I think a lot of Trump supporters and voters are wondering what the hell is going on. Did he really lose? And I believe that only a small percentage of the Trump supporters and voters know what's going on because they're subjected to a nonstop barrage by the press. And it's so funny to watch the press backpedal. Here's what I think is going to happen, okay? You know, we can go off in 5 directions for the fraud, but really, we could do that in a minute, but let me tell you what I think is going to happen. I think we're going to see individuals, whether they're popular news reporters like Tucker Carlson, or whether they're vice presidents who've got their testicles in a vice for very serious offenses like, underground movements that involve dirge music and killing kids, stuff like that. We're going to see a number of individuals flip, and they're going to save their skin.
I hope so.
I hope so too, but I'm not going to be focusing much on hope. I'm going to focus on prayer, and I'm going to focus on reality, because self-preservation is a very powerful human trait. And I believe many press figures right now are deducing on their own and with a little bit of help that not only are their careers at risk, but their liberty might be at risk if they continue to follow orders. We're going to see some resignations. We're going to see some people change their tune. And we're going to see other people just plain old say, I thought about this and I'm seeing a lot of fraud. I mean, we got to admit it. They're going to eventually admit they see the fraud. I've got my first cancellation 2 days ago by a client who said, I can't take your pro-Trump slant anymore. Trump is ruining our democracy, and I must cancel. I don't want to be a subscriber anymore to your newsletter. And I wrote him back and I said, okay, I understand. You're a fucking moron. And then the next morning I said, one of two truths is evident. You do not see the rampant, profound historical fraud, and that makes you a pure idiot, or you condone it, which makes you a pure fascist. Either way, good riddance. Good riddance. I've only had one, and I posted my newsletter on Thursday night, Friday morning, so it's been out for 24 hours. It's not that simple. The flood of logins is happening right now. I've got a mass email that goes out and informs people that it's out there and posted, but many people check.
I just got it tonight.
Yeah, no, you just got the mass email tonight.
Yeah.
But you could have opened up the newsletter over 24 hours ago. But
Okay.
That's okay. I'm going to get more cancellations, but I try to probe. I ask them, what's up with you? Are you having a job loss? Are you having health issues? Or are you supporting the fascists? And so far, everybody has said, lost my job, have to cut back, a lot of expenses, things are really weird and tough. But only one has said, I don't like your pro-Trump slant. I'm not a political animal. I voted for, believe it or not, I voted for McGovern in 72. That was my first vote. I voted for Clinton. I didn't realize what Clinton was in 92. I didn't want Papa Bush because I'd recognized what he was. And go back a little bit to history to that 92 election. That was the first time that after a little bit of study, you could determine that they had a narco on the Republican side with Papa Bush, and they had a narco on the Democrat side with Bill Clinton. So we had two narcos, a blue and a red version.
I'm surprised you didn't vote for Ross Perot.
Well, I don't vote for independence because I think it's like pissing on your own leg. I respected Ross Perot, and I loved his line. He said, being the governor of Arkansas is about as powerful as managing Chiquita Banana. About the same volume. Just because you run a mom pop shop doesn't mean. Ross Perot, these people need to understand you cannot run for president if you do not have a good manly voice. Are you listening, Ron Paul?
Yeah, God bless Ron Paul.
A stalwart man.
Great
But he
man.
does not have a manly voice.
Right.
That's interesting. Yeah.
And you cannot get the woman vote with a little weak voice.
Good point.
I don't have a lot of respect for women's ability to vote in national elections. Bill Clinton won 85% of the woman vote. Just keep that in mind. Even though all the different ridiculous stories like Paula Jones and, oh gosh, how many women were trotted out who claimed that they'd been raped. Didn't matter. He's a good-looking guy and he got the women vote.
And he plays the saxophone too.
Yeah, well, yeah.
The hell of a saxophone player,
Okay,
actually.
I'll tell you where I also think this might go for the vote. We're going to see little victories in these battleground states, in particular Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. Those three are going to tell the tale. We're going to see little defections, like, say, the Speaker of the State House is going to just get in the way and say, we can't certify this. I don't care. You know, it's kind of funny because even in some of these Democrat battleground states, they've got a Republican-dominated state house, state legislature. And they're going to be I don't mean little, they're going to be these state speakers of the House who say, I won't certify this. And they're going to get a phone call that says if you do, you're going to be liable for voter fraud and your career might be over. Play it safe and don't certify. I think we're heading toward a deadlock. We're not going to get a resolution. And I don't know if you guys have heard, but there's a story, and I don't mind revealing the source because I think he's a stalwart figure in Florida with a lot of integrity, and it's Pastor Rick Wiles of True News.
Oh, I love Rick Wiles.
Yeah, Rick Wiles, absolutely.
I've had several interviews with him, but they were mostly in 2014, 15, 16, 17. I had one a year ago, but it was with his main guy. It wasn't with Rick Wiles. There are a lot of stories I could relate regarding True News and Rick Wiles, but I have respect for Rick Wiles. And he got contacted in the last, I think, 48 hours by somebody who, this is tense. He got contacted by somebody, I believe in Washington, and it was somebody with connections. By that I mean he got contacted by Mr. X. And Mr. X said, I got a phone call from someone highly placed in a national security organization, not the National Security Agency. It's a national security organization. And I believe it's Defense Intelligence. I think it's the DIA. Now, for those who know what's happening with the intelligence agency, the DIA is like the center of the web. And I believe they've got the good guys. I think they've got the white hats. Defense Intelligence Agency. What he was told by Mr. Y. Okay, Mr. X talked to Rick Wiles and said, I got contacted by Mr. Y. I cannot identify his name. I will not identify his organization, but I will tell you the message that Biden is going to be arrested for treason before January. And he will be forced to capitulate, not to, what's the word, concede. He's not going to concede. He's going to say, I'm out. I'm out of the race. I capitulate. And if you look under the origin of the word, it means I cut my head off. Capitulate. Decapitate myself. I'm out of the race, and by default, Trump wins. Okay, this is what I believe is going to be the safety wild card in case the states don't do the right thing. I don't have a lot of faith in the states. I think that with the lockdown, we saw the true nature of the states. We saw the nature of the corruption of the various governors. We saw the defiance of the governors in the face of new evidence that the CDC and the World Health Organization dropped their banner that said Corona was a pandemic. They dropped it. They've also dropped following all data for influenza. Mm-hmm. There's no more influenza or tuberculosis or pneumonia. Everything is COVID. We got to catch all. So now the standard flu season is a COVID epidemic. I refuse to call COVID the disease. It's covert identification 2019, a medical fascist coup plot. I don't have any trouble calling Corona a virus. We just don't have any. Okay, so we got the states that are going to bicker internally, all of them on the battleground state level. It's going to be very interesting in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Georgia. And I've got pretty good scoop, and I don't think it's even private scoop, but they've got the goods on Governor, what's his name? Brett Meyer? No, I can't, the Georgia governor. Help me out. Is it Brett?
I forget his name.
Meyer?
I forget his name.
If one of you could look it up while we're talking. And the other guy is Raffensperger. He's the Secretary of State for Georgia. Apparently, the U.S. government security agents.
Yeah,
Brian Kemp.
Kemp.
Right, Brian Kemp and Raffensperger or something like that. They've got the goods on these two for Chinese bribes to allow the state to be turned toward Biden with corruption in the voting system. I get a lot of questions from people like, why did Trump allow this to go so far? He knew what was happening. He knows who the traitors are. And I've got a good answer to that. He laid a trap, and he wants the most magnificent sting in U.S. modern history to run its course. And one of the victims for this sting, apart from the people and the traitors, will be the voting system. We're not going to ever see this voting system again. It'll never be done again. And numerous nations are going to have their own little internal rebellions. Like, I'll just make up something. Like say in Brazil, they have a vote, and they now question the vote and say, well, we use Dominion systems. We need a new vote. We need to have a new vote in the next 90 days. I believe Trump might possibly say, okay, fine, you capitulate Biden, and that's all well and good. You're a piece of shit. You're a traitor, and we hope you get a bullet in the back of your head. But in the meantime, for the benefit of the nation, I think it would be a really good idea if we have a re-election, because we're not too certain about what happened in the House of Representatives. I believe if we have an honest vote, the House will lose 100 Democrats. That would be a big event.
Sure would.
I believe that the Senate would lose remember only a third of them had their seats up for re-election, so that's only 16 or 17. I believe we could see 5, 6, 7, 8. Let me just give you a little story. This is very telling, and I found it fascinating. I've got a good client, and he's been around for years, and we communicate back and forth with email a lot. And he said to me, Jim, I grew up in Arizona, and I've been here pretty much all my adult life. I got a lot of friends. I got a lot of business associates. I got a lot of club buddies. I got other types of friends. I got school friends in Arizona State. And I got to tell you, in the last 15 to 20 years, I could probably cite a couple hundred people that I know who've never voted for McCain. And he said, if I had to make a list of the people that I've come in contact with who did vote for McCain, it would be on one hand. So let's just call it 5 versus 200. 40 to 1 ratio on his personal experience in exposure to Arizona. I contend that John McCain never got more than 25 or 20% of the vote, and he was reelected every single time.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Now, I got another story. This one does not have a name. It's a client of mine. And for those, well, you know this, Dave. He's from Western Massachusetts. Not the coast, not the Boston. That's Eastern, coastal. Out west, it's not very populated, and the districts are quite large. Mm-hmm. And he had a friend who, a few years ago, might have been 2 years ago, I really don't know, who very recently, the friend ran for Congress. And he went largely unopposed. And here we went, he said it was through August and September and October, and he was all excited because finally in September, somebody arrived as an opponent. You know, they just named an opponent. And the opponent apparently had a little bit of money. And the word had it was that the guy was trying to use his money and buy the election, but he wasn't very well known, and the polls were like 65-35 in favor of this friend of my client out in Western Massachusetts. I think it was Deerfield. I've been out that way, but not much. I had a brother-in-law who went to UMass in Amherst, and that was an interesting little place. Okay, so here's the story. The guy was ahead in the polls 65-35. They were winding toward the end of the campaign. 2 weeks to go. Campaign rallies, good-sized crowds for the friend of my client. And the other guy really didn't campaign much. He had a couple of appearances and, sparse following. And he lost the election 55-45. He tried to challenge the vote. He said, I want a copy. I want to see the data. We're going to be filing a complaint. And the Democrat machine in Massachusetts, I forgot to say, he was running on the Republican ticket in Massachusetts, which is a Democrat machine. They could not get the data. They could not even get a bench warrant to clear the way, to even look at the election. They just got a stone wall. He lost 55-45, and he was largely unopposed. Okay, I don't believe this is a unique story. I don't believe the McCain situation is a unique story. Here's another one, Harry Reid. I think it was 2016. Mm-hmm. He had a fierce opponent because Harry Reid doesn't have a very good senator record on the voting on the issues. And going into the last week, Reid was behind by 5 or 8 points, and they called it a really brutal, tough election. And Harry Reid won by 5%. I don't believe that it was an honestly run election. These are not isolated stories. I believe that if we do a complete revoting of the Senate and House, you're going to lose about 15 to 20 senator seats for the Democrats, and you're going to lose 100 to 120 Democrat House seats. That's why I believe the big victim of this election might be Dominion and the voting corrupt systems. I got a joke. If you've got a neighborhood community center with a website, and they run a bake sale, and they run a fundraising basketball game, and they have little candy stripers to go to hospitals on a volunteer basis. Their website is more secure than the U.S. presidential election.
Wow.
It is a laughing stock.
Hey, Jim, can I give you a couple questions from the queue?
Fire away. That was
Okay.
my little preliminary.
Okay.
Just please don't put the, sorry, don't put your cell phone in front. That's very bothersome.
Oh, sorry. How's that? Is that better?
Yeah, just.
Okay, everybody, we've got about 5 minutes left. So Jim has had a lot to say.
Short answer.
Hey,
Okay.
we got Thomas Stanley in the house, my man. Tom Stanley wants to know what you think of Bull Pulney.
I gotta be honest. I'm not a bullshitter. I've got a number of clients who think he's wonderful, and what I do is I go by what I believe my client's integrity is. I've got a few clients I really like, I really respect, and they like Bull Pony. And I've read a few of his analyses, but not very many. But let's just say that some of the people I respect also respect him. I can't say any more than that.
Well, he's made some calls that have turned out to be correct.
Okay, I couldn't tell you what they are.
Well, he predicted gold and silver were going to jump up this year.
This coming year.
No, this past year. He predicted it in February, and then they took off.
Okay, well now they're suffering from neglect and distraction.
Yeah. Okay, let me go to the next question here. Why are we seeing the Dow move up this week and gold went down to the 1700s? That's from Blue Mariner 777.
Well, there's been something that's been going on for at least 5 years. Wall Street has been doing it. It's corrupt. They go long stocks and short gold, and it's in the same arbitrage trade. It's as simple as that. They're going long stocks and short gold, and the defenders of gold are very distracted right now. And furthermore, I've got it on good authority that a lot of long futures contract trades for gold and silver are being expunged. By that I mean someone puts on, say, a few gold contracts or a few buy contracts for silver. 2 days later, they're removed and the money is back in their account. I believe we're in a situation right now where the COMEX has forbidden long trades. You can't support the stock. You can't prevent a decline if long trades are forbidden. Now, Volcker set up the gold market in the 80 decade to be a sell-only market. That's very little known about Paul Volcker. I had a lot of respect for the way he handled the debt and the bond market, but the way he handled the gold market was really atrocious. You cannot make a market a sell-only. Now, I know somebody who has consistently put on buy orders for gold and silver, and 2 days later they're removed and the money is back in the account. How do you defend that market? So the problem they're going to get, okay, they're going to get a lower price, but there's going to be no supply. And these corrupt big banks are going to be able to walk out of their really badly underwater short positions and make out okay, minimize their losses. I tell you, the U.S. financial markets are the most corrupt in the world. I would trust an African market more.
Yeah. What
We
about
are pure third world? Next question.
let's see. Somebody here wants to know what you think about the gold standard, if it's a possibility. I don't, but he does. So what's your opinion?
Okay, you're gonna have to repeat that.
Gold.
I didn't get the question.
What do you think about the going back onto a gold standard?
Well, it sounds very nice. Do you have any idea how to do it?
I don't think it's possible.
Well, let me point out some of the difficulties. If the United States goes on a gold standard and we're at, say, an $1,800 price, and we have the same kind of trade deficit that we had before this Corona bullshit came on, we would lose about 10,000 tons of gold per year.
Yeah.
How does that work out? The United States has a trade deficit. Any nation that's got a significant trade deficit cannot go on the gold standard.
Right.
Because if they do, they're going to get carpet-bagged.
Yeah, we'll be a third world country.
Well, we're going to be just drained of resources, and foreigners come in to buy it up on a dime. I mean, a dime per dollar.
Mhm.
We had a $1 trillion trade deficit 2018 and 19. The math was really easy on a napkin. At 1,300, it was about 13,000 tons of gold per year to forfeit. How does that work out? Now that we're up to 1,800, it's 9 or 10,000 tons of gold per year. How does that work out? So a gold standard sounds really good, but how do you do it when you've got a trade deficit? Now, a little country like Costa Rica, or whatever little country, they've got a trade deficit. So they've either got to forfeit assets or attract in foreign direct investment.
Mm-hmm.
And I got news for anybody who wants to set up, say, a car factory like a VW plant in Costa Rica. I got news for you. Get ready to pay the bribes. And you're going to walk away and you're basically going to say, not interested. We're going to try somewhere else. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
So imposing a gold standard sounds good. How are you going to do it? I think we're going to head toward a dual system where the dollar continues because the reset falls on its face.
Well, I heard somebody say, wouldn't it be poetic justice that Janet Yellen comes in to be the head of if she comes in, I'll preface that with if, she said that there'll never be another crash in history, and she comes in and she overrides the crash.
You talking about Janet Yellen, the former Fed chairman?
Right. She was selected to be the Treasury Secretary by Biden if he comes in.
Yeah, in the last week or so.
Who's going to select Biden as president?
Well, I'm saying if. Well, Jim, we only have a minute left, and then Zoom's going to cut off. So,
okay, I got to tell you, I don't give a rat shit flying backwards on a motorcycle what Biden cares about for his cabinet. He might want to consider who's going to be in charge of the toilet in his prison in Leavenworth.
Amen, brother. Hey, well, Jim, listen, you're a buddy of mine, and I know that it's been a tough year for you, and me and Dan just want to say a prayer for you, for your dad, and for and you can join us with an Our Father and a Lord's Prayer if you'd like.
I don't pray in public.
Okay, understood. Well, I'll say it for you. Afterwards. I'm going to ask everybody out there to say a prayer for you and to give you strength, courage, and wisdom, and to stay strong.
I appreciate that. It has been 3.5 years of very serious demonic attacks. And
Jim, I'm gonna lose you here, buddy.
Okay.
God bless you.
All right. Bye now.
Okay, Dano, thanks. Okay, everybody, that was the challenge. I hope everybody's still here. I apologize for the crude nature of doing it, but I have these discussions with Jim periodically, and I thought it would be interesting if I just tried to make it live. And Jim's had a very challenging year, so feel free to send Jim words of encouragement. Imagine, how it is when you're feeling down, you don't always feel so strong. So, okay, I'll call him back. So I'm going to end it here. Unless anybody has any questions for me, I'm going to boogie on out of here, and move along. I'm trying to do this with my phone, so I'm sure that your view on this was not that good when I tried to hold the phone up to the screen, but just as an FYI, I'm going to, hopefully Dan was able to capture the conversation on his computer. And then if he did, I'm going to ask Dan to upload it to the channel, and you'll be able to watch the conversation, hopefully in a more normal manner. But I thought yes, I'm in Mexico. Yeah, yep. And so I just thought it would be interesting. I don't remember Jim doing a live stream before. And unfortunately, I don't have it set up properly here. Oh, who cut my hair? Well, here's an interesting story. Okay. I am actually in an expat community down here. My friends have a house here that I'm staying in. It's gorgeous here. And when you're in an expat community, you go to Mexico and it's like I'm in Florida, right? So it's all gringos here from all over the world. And there's some Mexicans too, but a lot of foreigners. So what I do is I like to practice my Spanish and get out. So I walk a couple miles into the village, and I walked in, and there were 4 hair places, and I go in and I start bartering with them how cheap they'll go. So the one hair place at the supermarket, they were charging 120 pesos, and a peso is 20 pesos is $1. So that was $6. And I'm like, I'm not paying $6 for my haircut. So I walked into the little village, and I ended up getting for 50 pesos. And then I gave them a 20 peso tip. This is the shortest my hair's been in about 2 years. So I was like, okay, off it goes. And hey, it is what it is. I really don't care. My hair will be long again within 2-3 months. That's how quickly it grows. So a lot of times I shave it myself when I used to shave it. So yeah, very stylish. You look younger. That's what Dan says. So actually I am younger. I'm now 32 years old. Imagine that in some nominal term. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed Jim. I don't want to pass along any news he didn't want to share. I'm sure it will come out. But lots of things are going on, guys. And, you know, I'm not a Biden fan, and I'm not particularly a Trump fan either. But I will say this. I just hope that we can get our country back. That's all I care about. So I'm in Mexico, but you know what? I'm trained. I just have to get the rust off, and I'll be back in fighting and fighting for the country. I think that's what it's going to come to at some point, unfortunately. I don't see this thing going quietly into the night. One thing that me and Dan read in the Bible is, just remember this: evil never stops. Evil never stops. They'll keep coming and coming and coming until you kill it. They don't get tired. They don't give up. And we're going to have to kill it. It's that simple. I know it's not pleasant discussion, but that's the only way to deal with it. So just prepare yourselves mentally and physically and emotionally for that type of fight, because that's what's coming up. And maybe people can actually envision now, with everything that's happened this year, about losing our society, losing our culture. I mean, that's what it's coming to. And if you don't get off the couch now, if you're not prepared to fight for things. I was talking to Dan today. We could very easily become Nazi Germany. Okay? Where are your papers? My sister wanted to go see her son in New York City. She just can't drive down from New Hampshire to see her son. She's got to get papers in advance and a confirmation number, or her face getting arrested and a $10,000 fine. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Who do these governments think they are? So it's not right. It's not right. So, well, I think I lost my connection. Should have paid $6? Well, forget you. Forget you. Put your face on the screen, buddy. Yep. Okay, well, everybody have a great Saturday night. And please say a prayer for Jim. He needs the strength. There's a lot going on. Okay. Have I heard of Jean or Savin? No, I've never heard of them. Sorry. Is that a person? It sounds French. And I actually bought the French language program, and I never started studying it. So, Mother, thank you for the comment. So, am I on Twitter? Yes, David is Dawei, I believe. There's a link. If you go to the YouTube page under About, there's a link to my Twitter page on there. I don't use Facebook. I set it up a long time ago. I don't use it. I heard some of the bad stories about Facebook, and I gave it up. And let's see. Yeah, I'll try to remember that name, Jean O'Savin. Hey, Charlene, good to see you. Zampano, how you doing, buddy? Okay. So I have nothing else to say, unless somebody else has anything to say. I know you can't. But, hey, peace. All right? Everybody take care. And listen, I know everybody believes the stories about Mexico. And listen, Mexico has its problems. I'm not going to say it's a perfect place. But if anybody's familiar with Atlas Shrugged, Ayn Rand, okay, I really think that Mexico could become a brain drain from the United States because it is so close. There are so many wonderful things about Mexico. But there are negatives, just like with our country, the United States, there are negatives there too. But if anybody has any questions about Mexico, please don't be afraid. It's be brave and go out and explore. Put your boots on the ground and explore. I think you'd be pleasantly surprised. Plus the exchange rate's good. What you get for the bang for the buck down here is very good as well. Okay? Bill Lester, how you doing, buddy? I'll give you a piece back. Okay, I'm going to sign off. Thank you very much. Take care. Good night. Grateful for another great day. I remembered. Okay, bye.